Hi, I'm Jesse Hurlbert, and welcome to Arthropod Adventures. This is episode 15, Lightning Butt. Today's arthropod can be found shining in your backyard, possibly sending you secret messages. Perhaps you even tried to collect a few yourself. Can you guess what it is? Today's adventure takes us to the world of the firefly, and more specifically, the eastern firefly. Or maybe you call it a lightning bug or even a lightning butt. Whatever you call them, just know they are amazing and special for so many reasons. And today, we will get into all of those. And while there are over 170 different species of fireflies in North America alone, as I mentioned, we will be focusing in on the eastern firefly, which is sometimes called the Big Dipper firefly because of the way it flies, mimicking the Big Dipper constellation up in the night sky. But we will spend some time talking about their flying in a little bit. Their scientific name is Fontanus paralis. The first part of its name, Fontanus, comes from the Greek word phot, P-H-O-T, which means light. This obviously makes sense since this species of fireflies makes a light. The second part of its scientific name, paralyzing, is yet another Greek word meaning fire. This came from a myth that talked about how fireflies literally came out of fire. Now, we know this is not true, as myths are not real, but this is part of what makes myths in general so much fun. Now, just like a few of the other animals we've talked about on this show, the name is slightly misleading, as a firefly is not a fly at all, but instead is a species of beetle, just like our old friend, the lady beetle. As their common name suggests, these fireflies tend to live in the eastern United States. In their larval stages, which we will get to in a little later on, they live in moist, wet ground, typically under a log or some leaf litter. As adults, you will find them flying around fields or along the edge of forests, and they love to be near bodies of water like a stream or a lake. While it may be possible to see them out during the day, these arthropods are typically nocturnal, which means you find them at night, and this is where you will find them using their bioluminescence, which alone is a fantastic word to say, but it's an even cooler process that we will get to. But before we get to what bioluminescence is and how spectacular it is, let's figure out what these creatures look like. They have a pretty slender body, about a half an inch long, and since they are an insect, we know they have 3 body parts, the head, thorax, and abdomen, with 6 legs. When I think about the body parts of an insect, I sometimes like to picture it like head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Head, thorax, abdomen, kind of like that. It's a fun little song to sing in your head. Let's start with the head. So if you were looking at them, you would notice a black dot, almost like a pinhead poking out from what is an orangish half oval plate. This would be their head. In the center of this, you would find a reddish circle with a black dot in the middle. On top of the head, you'll find their 2 antennas. Next, unless it was flying, you would not be able to see its thorax and abdomen. They are covered by their 2 pairs of wings. Their hard outer covering, which you might remember is called an elytra. This protects their softer wings, which they use to fly. The hard outer casing is dark brown in appearance with a yellow outline around them. Please make sure to check out the show notes again for some more pictures. It is the males of this species that have wings designed for flying. The female's wings are shorter, which leaves her being pretty flightless. She instead spends most of her time on the ground waiting for a mate. The last segment of their abdomen is what they use to create the light. And what's up with that light? What is it? How does it happen? Tell me everything, right? Well, it's called bioluminescence, the word you've heard me use, and it's basically a chemical reaction that takes place within their abdomen. I learned a lot about this process from the article called How and Why Fireflies Light Up by Mark Branham, as well as an article from Earth Sky. Both were immensely helpful while learning about this process and helping me understand it. While I always knew what bioluminescence was, I had never known how it happens. So I was able to learn in the case of the firefly. And I'll do my best to try and explain it to you. But a big thank you to those articles for being such a great help. It all starts in the abdomen with a compound called luciferin. This is found within the firefly's abdomen, and once it is met with oxygen, that stuff that we breathe in, it causes a chemical reaction. This reaction then creates that iconic light we all know and love. And if creating light wasn't cool enough, they have the amazing power to regulate the oxygen going in and out of their abdomen. This allows them to be able to make patterns and flashes, bright, long, short, whatever they want. They let the oxygen in through their tracheoles, which is just kind of like how we breathe, they breathe through those. A new term I learned from this research was cold light, which is what the firefly produces. This just means that while it lights up, it doesn't produce any heat like a light bulb. This is important because if they produced heat, that might kill them. Now that we know how they light up, let's discuss the why. These lights are mostly used to attract and find a mate. The male will fly around, letting in oxygen to turn on its light. It might change its brightness, might change the length of its flash. All of this matters to the female who is watching from down below. If she likes the light show, then she will flash her own light to let him know that she is ready and willing to mate. I also read a very interesting fact here about the female species. While she is on the ground, she might signal to some other firefly species, not our eastern firefly. She does this by mimicking or creating the same pattern as the other ones. This convinces the male of that species that she's a female and he needs to fly down and mate right away. Unfortunately for him, he lands, finds a female of a different species who then eats him alive. And while the female does get some nutrients from it, it is not only just a snack for her, as she will also use his defense chemicals, that we'll get to in a moment, to help protect her eggs later on. These defense chemicals are called lucibufagins. Again, I'm probably saying that incorrectly, so thank you for bearing with me. And while it does not help the firefly that is being eaten, it typically stops predators from eating them. You see, when ingested, the predator eats the firefly, and the second this chemical hits its stomach, it creates a vomiting sensation, which tells the creature not to eat any other fireflies. So it's a brave few who get sacrificed to help the species grow. And while not all animals are susceptible to this noxious chemical or vomiting, as some frog species are known to munch on fireflies, it is still helpful for the female who will then use that to protect her eggs. As far as reproduction goes, we learned how the male gets the attention of the female. Now, once the pair have mated, the female will lay her eggs in the ground. In about a month, the eggs will hatch and out will come, I hope you remember, egg, that's right, larva, egg, larva, pupa, adult. That's how I always remember. What I find to be amazing is that the larvae are also able to light up using bioluminescence. They use this light ability as a warning to predators, which says, hey, don't eat me, I'm not a good snack. This larval stage of the firefly is oftentimes called a glowworm. Again, it's not a worm species, but that's its name nonetheless. When the larvae are ready to pupate, they will dig a small hole in the ground. They will hopefully avoid being eaten underground, and when they come out as adults, they are ready to start the cycle all over again. I wanted to leave you with one set of interesting facts. These ones have to do with their diet. The males are so focused on mating that they typically do not even eat. The females, however, as well as their larval stage, the glowworm, are amazing and great predators. They will consume any arthropod that they can get their teeth into, although not teeth like ours, just, their little insect mouth. In fact, the larvae even produce a paralyzing toxin from their mouth. This toxin leaves the unfortunate arthropod unable to defend itself, and it's then eaten while still alive again. So the next time you happen about those flashing lights in the sky, I want you to give a glance down at the ground. See if you can find the female. And don't be afraid to grab a jar and capture one. But please, 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 don't keep it for that long. Let them live and breathe. Just catch, enjoy, and release. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you have an arthropod you would love to hear about, want to tell me what you think about the show, or found a mistake, please send me an email at arthropodadventurespodcast@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. Stay inquisitive and never stop learning. Your fun fact about me today is that I love the animal, the octopus. I just think that they are so misunderstood and deceptively smart. Never mind the fact that they can change their color and texture.